Evening, everyone. Welcome to another new first for the Emeritus Gallery. It is Thursday, September 22nd, 2022, and we are launching a virtual and in-person exhibit. We have the exhibit in the gallery. The gallery has amazing work up by our artist in residence, so to speak, today, and virtual show as well. So we are doing a mixed modality art gallery show starting today, and I'm pleased as punch, so to speak, to have you all here and have our artist here and Jesse to guide us through everything. And with that being said, really it's an honor to continue to be the dean over the program. I love working with Emeritus students. I hope you enjoy the program. I hope you enjoy this gallery show as well, and I know you will. I've seen it myself. I've seen the work in the building. We have already our stated hours up when we're open for the public to come in and view the art. I encourage you to come into the building. It's amazing. Really, really good opportunity to get you to come back into the building and check it out. That being said, I'm going to go to hand over the baton to our illustrious gallery curator, Mr. Jesse Benson.
Dr. Silverman, thank you so much, sir. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Ashley. And yes, I couldn't agree more that the exhibition here is perfect for relaunching, you know, a sort of hybrid lifestyle that we've gotten into a little bit of trying to get things back in motion in a live gallery sense and all that, but also, you know, maybe having this really safe, wonderful online reception event. And for Michael Baroff to be here is a perfect opportunity for us to launch this concept, because his paintings are perfect for the gallery. They look dynamite installed in there. They really brought to life again one of the faces of the whole program, which is the gallery. It's right there on 2nd Street. It's beautiful. It's exciting. If you do happen to be taking classes live, please stop by. Otherwise, maybe it'll just draw you over there anyways, and people will start you know, returning when they feel safe to you know, the campus. And it's really exciting to also have him here for the online programming, because he also has works that are very specific to their best viewership being on, you know, the platform that we're here today, to be able to see video works, to be able to see his website, other things that have made him a very prolific producer in multi-disciplines. And, you know, we also get to have this great opportunity to share in some of the personality of the man. So Michael Baroff, welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it. Appreciate everything you've done for this. This is great. It's been a wonderful experience. So at this point, I'll go.
Very easy to work with you. Obviously, you have a lot of professional expertise. You also broken things down really well into bodies of work and ways of investigating things as groupings and with title bodies and things that make it very easy for a curator to navigate and to make something exciting out of, in my opinion. And, you know, so we're going to be able to see your multifaceted practice. Have you always been an interdisciplinary producer, or has that been more recent with videos and paintings?
Well, I mean, I started out, you know, drawing and painting. You know, truth be told, the videos emerged based on the following quandary I was in. My gosh, I have all these paintings and I'm getting stuck with places to store them. How can I make art without storing stuff? Video, electrons. I can store them on little discs and on the computer. So I made dozens of those videos during a period of time when I said, okay, enough's enough, and then got back into actually making stuff on paper and canvas. So that's really the truth, you know.
Honestly, Michael, I love an answer like that. I love a logistical,
very practical, yeah,
decision that makes the decision happen in real life. That's great stuff. You know, I once saw a real life.
Same one, yeah. I took the camera out just to walk around and capture what I was noticing. It was a way to actually just get out and about, and like we'll see some of those videos we're talking about, these ambient videos which have, you know, ambient sound and the like, but other ones will work and then put them into a video form with, you know, some music, just to have like a portfolio, like you said earlier. So there's two different uses of the camera and video in this case. So
and we're going to look, you know, you brought me these bodies of work that you felt were connected or right for the gallery, and you edited out others like figurative works. Why did you decide that this installation was right, this sort of abstract bodies of work for the gallery?
Right. Well, I mean, the basic, decision on some level was, and I've had this in mind, and I'm really appreciative that the gallery and your curation supported this, was to have the work in a way that's displayed where people can actually spend a little time with them. I'm glad there's little benches there you can sit. And so, as you can see, the paintings, especially what we'll call the metascapes, most of them are quite meditative. They're paintings that have something you can kind of lose yourself in. That's my one way of looking at it. I created a little haiku when I painted those that went like this: looking inward, beyond the horizon, a clear vision. So the idea that one looks into something and you get something out of it. So that's why I felt all of those fit, in some of the larger ones and smaller ones. And then these other ones on the other wall, which we see here on the left, these I'm calling space form energy, are more recent. Those are monotypes that I created within this year. Basically, that was my focus, if you will, this last, gosh, we're only 9 months into the year. So then I felt they also had a nice energy to them that would complement the metascapes. So that was my choice, and I basically chose ones I thought would go well, and you seem to like them, so there they are.
And I do, and we're going to get a chance, as everybody knows, we'll get a chance to look at them individually as well. Just starting with the photos of the environment of this space and how these things all work together. And and Michael, we'll see in a little while, has bodies of work that are figurative, bodies of work that are collages, collapses of abstraction and figuration and all types of things. But for this body of work, or excuse me, for this exhibition, he chose two bodies of work, more or less. The metascapes, which are the horizon-like abstractions, and they range in sort of series within the larger group of those. They range in scale a little bit, etc. And then there's these other works, space form energy. And those are, it's exciting to see that these recent works playing against works that the metascapes have been. When did you start the Metascape series?
Around in the early 1980s.
Right. Right. So there's a
I think we might show a video of the Baja experience, but that's where they were.
There you go.
Terminated, but nonetheless, these were. I started painting these that show that's on the video of me being interviewed at my first show to come back in Venice, were the first ones, the series one, which were on paper, oil on. These are all oil. All these metascapes are oil on paper. So over the last few years, I began doing these more apex, these vertical ones. Before then, most all of them were horizontal, or as some of the ones you see here too, but most of these are the
more landscape orientation.
Landscape, yeah.
Right.
I call them vistas, because vista versus apex.
Right, and you have one vista in the show.
Right. Yeah, that one there.
One there. Right. And you move forward, and yes, and you call these apex. Yes, and when we get to the individualized works, we'll show the titles and the series and everything that you're describing, just so everybody understands. We're talking about the vistas being the horizontal ones, but they're all within the metascapes.
Right, and like I said, I've been painting these. I guess I just got stuck on this motif, and literally, these are what I've been painting in all sorts of sizes, shapes, smaller ones too, since the 80s. So,
and I can imagine what the title metascapes starts to feel like meaning, but can you enlighten us, since you're here a little bit?
Sure. Well, word meta means beyond, and these are, as I've said, they were surely inspired by seascapes. I mean, I love the ocean. I live in Santa Monica. They were inspired by water and sky. However, they're not. I mean, they are abstract. I was a number of years ago, there was a gallerist who I was showing these to, and he said, "Oh, these are transitional works." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Oh, that's between realism and abstraction." Term. And so that's kind of what this is. And meta simply means above or beyond, beyond scape. So this is not a seascape, it's a metascape.
Sure. And yeah, no, for me, like they need to acknowledge that there's a horizon line, which
Right.
almost makes them automatically in a conversation of some sort of landscape. So the use of the word scape, and then, you know, they do feel like seascapes, certainly. And the meta part, yeah, they're certainly otherworldly a little bit, or they're psycho spaces, or whatever you want to call that. So I think that there's, and you know, in conversation with like a Rothko painting or something would be,
Right.
but you know, a little bit handled in a slightly contemporary way, and all that, stylized in your specific ways of handling things. And it's a little hard to tell, like our spotlights are just a little spotty
Right.
in the space, but this is a pretty flat application of color on
Right.
top.
That's how it's, yeah, a little gradient.
Pattern. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's a little
Yeah.
texture. A lot of these paintings have some texture if you were able to zoom in later. So yeah.
Texture for sure. Like you could see, like you could see the texture rhythms, absolutely. And then in the areas of the paint, just referring to the idea that there's like a light coloration and a dark coloration in our lighting images here, but basically that blue is relatively flat in application.
I mean, I'd say one other thing about the sketch. I mean, these are, I mean, none of these were based on any actual looking at the ocean. It all came from an immediate
Sure.
experience. So that's, just want to acknowledge there wasn't like a photograph or a looking at the ocean that inspired any of these. They were all done directly as they are.
Yeah, it comes across that way, that they're expressive, you know, and that they are sort of internalized landscapes a little bit too. And I think it's interesting that you know, they really do have a very different aesthetic approach in a way than the form space energy works. But they do have a nice relationship to each other. I wonder exactly how that felt like it was playing out for you. But for me, I just think that there's rhythms in your work that I think when you build bodies, a series of work that create good rhythms in a space, these, you know, even the scale shift isn't extreme between this body of work to this, so that we get a rhythm continuation that's exciting. Now these have a lot of variables in them, right?
They're all very different.
Yeah.
If I may, when you say rhythms, because one thing, I mean, I don't get too much in process, but I'll show this. I mean, I spent years in expressive dance, movement, body. And so when I paint, it's a proprioceptive body experience as well. It's not, you know, I mean, that's how I paint, and that's part of my rhythmic energy putting into each and all of these works. So that's, you know, part of it, and different. And I've learned that, you know, there's different rhythms in life. Some are more chaotic, or more staccato, angry, or more lyrical, or more still. And that was based on the work of a woman named Gabrielle Roth, who taught ecstatic dance. So I have that embodied aspect to my work. I've always been and I've been doing that kind of dance likewise from the 80s. So I mean, it's all kind of part and parcel of who I am, how I am, and what I put out.
I think that's a great response, and I definitely feel, and when we get to closer images of the space form energy works, we'll really be able to see something that feels like a trace of movement, like dance rhythm, like you're describing. And there is, you know, and right within music or movement of that type, or meditation or breathing or anything that has rhythmic qualities, there's the sort of rhythm that has a steady quality sometimes, and there's the more scattered energies and how those overflow over each other. And that's all coming through in this installation for me. A little closer look. We'll start to get closer and closer on these. And so you continue to make the metascapes, or were those a body of work that closed?
I don't know. I haven't made any recently, but you never know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, it took me, I mean, I'll share this. I had a kind of an ennui with the metascapes, you know, last year, and I kind of had this hiatus, and then all of a sudden these space form energy ones came out. And that's a concept that comes from, you know, some Dharma art I'd studied. I mean, that those are, you know, elements of life. But I one day looked around my studio space here, and I had a large sheet of plastic and paint, and so I started doing what we'll call, they are monotypes, meaning the paint, and these are all oiled. I think the one in the front's an acrylic, but paint put onto a plastic sheet, and then paper pressed upon it, and arising, and then various iterations of each image that emerged. When the page's thicker, it turned out one way, then take paint away, and so there's many versions of all of these, or iterations. But that was kind of something this came to me to do, and I got, the right word's not obsessed, but I got into it this past year.
Well, there's a huge amount of variation that you can, I mean, an endless amount that you can produce.
Right.
And so the monotype allows you to, of course, control certain parts of the information, and other parts are a little out of your control. Is
Exactly.
that exciting to you? Does that, because at the time you're a little surprised with the result, I imagine.
Oh, totally. I mean, I love spontaneity, chance, accident. Accident's a big one. Whoops, and then it turns into this, and then making choices. I mean, it's those two elements of it, allowing what comes out, and then making some decisions, choice, and then as you, it's like, I mean, it gleaned for me the other day. Sometimes I get into the details. I kind of say, okay, let me nuance this, or throw this away, or refine it, or let it be. So yeah, it's a process of letting it unfold, if you will, to what ends up being whatever I frame.
And we'll see that, because you mentioned that in relation to your video works, which we're going to see in a little bit, which are incredible captures many times of information in the world, like the ambient videos that you call them, the ones that are just documentations of experiences or moments that you then that you found by accident, presumably on some level, many times in many cases, and that you have then known to grab onto and known how to accentuate, and known how to, push the envelopes of the accentuation into places that are nuanced and detailed, like you said.
Right. I think that's just a creative process. I mean, that's the satisfying element of doing this. It's not just painting. It's a creative endeavor, as best.
And have you ever seen this many of them installed in a space to get a sense of a running horizon that obviously is variable in height, but has this kind of vista, mentality and a touch,
Well, the truth is, not in this, I'll use the word elegant of a installation. I've had some shows where I've had a number of them put in. I had participated in shows that I had a painting in a show that a curator was calling Horizon. So he, put multiple paintings in a horizon thing. But I've had a couple times where I've had a couple paintings of the large paintings side by side, which had that quality. But this is the first one in this total setting. The way you've curated and hung them is very special to me.
Well, I'm very pleased to hear that. But I definitely think that they, as much as they have individual weight, without question, they do, because they really can get you into a sublime space, a big space, very quickly, and they have graphic qualities too. But also within the gallery, just like they really brought the space to life very quickly. It was like they enjoyed being next to each other, and they sort of really brought the space into something that felt cohesive very quickly, which I think is a tribute to the works. And I think let's try to get ahead to before, real quickly, we'll look at this great photograph that you took, this manage
panorama on the cell phone is great. Panorama mode.
But it really gives you a sense of how the whole show feels together. And I just think that you did a great job of selecting from your very prolific bodies of work, and we're going to get the individual ones now. Lots of different types of things that you do, narrowing it down into an exhibition that felt cohesive. You could have opted, a lot of people want to throw in everything that they do into one space. And I think it really was great that you were open to breaking up, or it was your idea to make the space be the abstractions. And then we ended up realizing that the online options for video were perfect too. and it just made a great show, I think. Now, these are the individual images of the stuff in the gallery.
Right.
Luminescence, and this is the one that you say is acrylic, right?
This one, yeah, I think that acrylic and actually fluorescent paint. I bought little tubes of fluorescent paint. I want to play around with it, so I think that's this one. There's a few of them I did using that very bright paint, but this is.
I might have made a mistake, and I'll make a correction on it right away. I think I wrote that these are all acrylic, and that might be my mistake.
No, no. Everyone else, all the other ones are oil.
Excuse me for that. I'll make the correction.
Okay, I didn't notice myself. Thank you. Yeah, this is, I believe, acrylic. The rest are oil.
My mistake. But I'll make the correction on that. But yeah, you can see the different quality of the paints there a little bit. And this is great that this ended up being the one on the front wall. It did have a quality of something a little bit different.
Right.
Obviously the pigmentation, but also the acrylic, I suppose I'm seeing. And tell me about your titles. And obviously, Luminescence speaks for itself a little bit.
Don't you love dictionaries? Meaning, I mean, when I try to, I paint these and then I try to conceptualize them. I said, oh, what do these look like? I said, some of them look like biological something. Some of them look like terrestrial or ground, and some of them look a little bit more celestial. Okay. So I went with that, and again, just trying to come up with names that had a little bit of a esotericness to it, just for the sake of it. I mean, as simple as that.
I mean, I love it, but I think that it doesn't just. I don't think it's just for the sake of.
Well, I matched them, but I mean, it's still how I.
No. I mean, no. I think that esotericness leaves room for interpretation.
Right.
But I like that you put us in I like that the realms you described a little bit.
Right.
That's an interesting way of sort of categorizing that.
Right.
So yeah. And no, I see what you're saying, and this so ends up being.
That's a corpuscle. That's kind of more a biological type of thing. So.
Right, and these could be micro or macro in these different ways, and it's interesting how that plays out. There's a very different textural feeling to this one from the last. If you look at the juxtapositions between these things, they're radically different images. Right.
This is one of the first ones I did, and this has more of a. Well, dendrite, still, I guess, those the original images were very thick, and then as I kept pressing the paper, it removed paint, and then some of these turned out, in my mind, very nicely after paint had been removed from the original pressing.
Sure.
So that's part of the process, and selecting which ones. Oh wow, this one stands out, but these other ones have a different quality. So I ended up really liking these.
So would you only have one result from each press? I mean, from each?
No, I have multiple.
You do, and so
for many of them, yes.
You selected. So that means, is there a dendrite 1, 2, and 3, or are those not actually make the cut?
Well, it depends. I've yet to come to terms with that. I mean, they have their own qualities, but they may not have the same definition of terms. So again, it's I've kind of matted them. What I have done, I will say, there's about 100 of these, and I have all matted them to make them see how they look, but they haven't titled them all or put the series. I mean, I have a sense. I keep sorting through them to try to define them. But I mean, these images, ones that just stood out at me that I thought were, representative of what I wanted to show with you.
Well, that's very interesting, and these ones made it into frames, and there's.
And then they were in frame.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see in the future how you will decide to use the ones that don't make the first cut, for if you do, or if you resource them for other things or whatever that might happen with that. Interesting. But right, these, and it's nice that you gave us all the different ones in a way, rather than, because I'm interested to see what the other ones that didn't make the selection are. But I think for our purposes in this show, nice to have one of each in a way. And yeah, they have a huge range of qualities in terms of their depth of field, their sense of space, like this one being called patina, of course.
It kind of looked like patina to me.
I get it. That's the surface quality of that one. Gesturalism.
And you recall from another painting, this had that gesturalism. I had painted other paintings that had that title, but it's that gestural quality. So yeah.
And we'll see some of that from a video in a moment
Right.
too. And that those movements, the dancing, the relationship between those things comes together in some of the videos and some of these
Right.
works very specifically
And
too.
then may I say, well, I think we'll show some of the videos where I digitized many of these,
Yes.
where I took them one step further into digital form. So those are, I find interesting as well.
I really like those quite a bit. Yeah, I agree. That really collapses all the bodies of work together for you. And these are the close-ups to make sure we see them a little bit more closely. Some of the textures we can get out of this. There is a lot of range in texture and approach to, layering and, different effects in paint. And look at this. Yeah, this textural effect you got out of this is really pretty heavy.
Right.
And right, these are all part of the Apex series. There's a couple.
Well, Apex is just a, we'll call horizontal, yeah.
Vertical, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Vertical. Thank you.
right, and this, yeah, no, and they ended up having there was other ones that we could have selected from that have different palettes and everything, but the ones that you gave me for this show have this color palette that seems to be really connected and really elegant. And how did you come to that? Are these ones that you just happen to really like, or are these ones you selected for the show, or?
Well, there's, the two elements.
And blues and
the truth be told, I do tend to gravitate toward the blues, the purples, the and the like. For the Metascapes, the texture comes what's differentiates them in many ways, but or some of these have the contrast of textures. If you look closer, from top to bottom, some of them very nuanced texture on the bottom here and a little bit more flat here on the top. So when one looks at the actual paintings, you can see even the difference in not brushstrokes, but of texturing of the above and below the horizon. So.
Definitely, there's real. Yeah, noticeable differentiations usually between how you handle the above and below space, both in texture, mark making, rhythm, pattern, color, all of that. True. Yeah, and I'm just noting as I'm looking through that, yes, they have these palettes that seem to be harmoniously connected. There's not a lot of you haven't pushed us with complementary colors that hate each other or something, like red and green, or something that would be mad at each other. They're potent. They're not like you're afraid of using potent colors, but they certainly have a relatively soothing sensation.
The subtlety, if I may. My intention is to transition the paint colors in a subtle way, and not as blatant as you said, yellow and a green. So that didn't appeal to me. These are, and again, the only differentiation of it that my daughter keeps reminding me of, some of these are darker, shall we say, versus some of the brighter ones. I know I had one that had a yellow.
Yes.
Highlight, which you chose not to put in here, and I knew it didn't fit myself. So right on.
It could have very easily,
for transition.
Could have had a different sort of rhythm but certainly you ended up giving me mostly things that were in this, except for the one that we didn't. Well, if I had room, I would have put it in anyways. It just ended up being slightly more accurate to the what we had that way.
That's fine.
But I think these palettes really do seem to give us what we need to feel out of this, the sublime quality. If they're jarring color relationships, I don't think we can get there the same way, really. So
and I try to make, if I may, the horizon it's very straight, or sometimes scratch into it, or make it very simple and tight, subtle, not a bold, ribbon, if you will. So that's part of the element of transition between the above and below.
Right, now I see
horizon itself. It kind of blends into. I try to blend the horizon, which is this is a more yellow, into the up and above and below elements, so they aren't. It's not a stark contrast, but a transitional.
Right.
Getting into the videos.
Right. Sorry about that. Yes, so I just wanted to make sure we were at the end of that, and then I think the nature of how that plays out is different a little bit in each one.
Right.
How the transition occurs between those spaces. But there's great layering and depth, and I like these last three a lot for their just sort of richness of layering, and in ways that aren't, the other ones are more pattern based in certain ways, right?
Right.
These ones are just a little bit like almost they have a photo, a blurry
Right.
photograph quality that one does. Does transition to the video.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and transition to the videos. And the videos, like we said, are a couple of different bodies of work. The first bodies of work are kind of like documentations that Michael has done of his existing works. Like we're going to see this next video is all Metascapes. And so there are photographs of his paintings, and he's activated that in video with sound, with music, which, by the way, we're not going to get sued for the music, are we, Michael? Are we okay?
No, actually, in the no, good question. In the editing process I used, these were embedded kind of generic
those must be
sounds with no attribution to them. They said they were just there. I mean, so that
must be fair use.
Fair use, so there's no attribution, and
glad to hear it. And so
we're not using it for commercial. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and of course we're not using it for commercial purposes, but just throwing that out there for anybody who
very aware of that. Yes.
Wrong person in the room. All right, so here we go.
Sounds a little off. Yeah.
I love it.
Great. So I can comment. Just to give you a little context. These ones before these, the ones were collages right before this, and then there were a couple from actually the series one, the one with the kind of a wavy horizon. That was actually one of the original paintings I did way back when, and those are on paper, like 18 by 23, I think 24, oil on paper. The series one Metascape. So, and the other ones use, are very size. This is
You've been very prolific with this body of work alone. I mean, there's just a lot to observe in how the range.
And very small.
Right?
Yes.
And over the years,
these are collage ones that we're looking at. These are smaller collage pieces, just for the fun of it.
And it's a very basic, essential question of where the horizon goes in a composition, and what happens in relation to that. And that's the kind of thing that you can dive into for all of time, in a way, and still make, even that sort of subtle of a question can be reinvestigated forever, right? And that's just a big part of, the examination needs to be that meditative to me for it to really work. If you do one or two of them, it's not really playing out for me as well as the multitude that you've produced, because it really starts to create this almost this like enormous horizon that I imagine through all of these works, Awesome.
Horizons of the mind.
Yeah. And let's go on. So these we're continuing with a few of these. We're just gonna, we're gonna air these videos. We're gonna watch some other types of videos that Michael's made here too. We have a few posted on Facebook, and then we're gonna go through his website real quickly and show you some others on the face, or on his on his YouTube page specifically. So we'll have a look at that too. Here's a spaceform image video.
And these are, as you can see, these are digitized.
Cool to end up on one that's in the show and see
Yeah.
the different digitation, digital versions that you did on.
Yeah, but I can comment on one thing because you kind of asked a minute ago. If you recall, some of the earlier ones in this video, really brown ones, really thick brown globule-looking things. You can go back. I mean, this because it's going to answer this, and even the prior ones. I mean, these same brown ones. If you go, I mean,
Prior ones.
yeah.
Wait,
I think,
here.
or that one. Point being is that was the precursor to what the dendrite image that is in the show look like. The dendrite
really?
is like the grandchild of that globule of this stuff. Not, yeah.
Answer the question I
I
had
might work
before.
this over a little bit, but I think there's another one subsequently that's even browner or thicker. So
So that's a question that sort of answered my question before.
yeah,
then
that's the
about-
answer to your question earlier. That's why I want to bring it up.
of how to activate those other works is that you put them in these video forms. They're part of this this video work as well as being their own objects as well.
Right.
Right.
And again, these are all like digitized images, which, to get commercial for a second, are, you can make prints out of. I mean, because these don't exist in frameable versions. These are digital images.
Of course. And you offer on your website ways to purchase prints.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought some of these could be the way to, yeah.
And so I love the range. I love actually watching it in the video too, having them jump from one version to another, like how that happens.
So it's obviously playing around with backgrounds. I mean, trying to create contrast with the imagery.
Absolutely. And I think it does a lot for that rhythm conversation in this video form that you've produced here too. Very exciting to me. Here we are to the watercolor.
Okay, now we're going with this is the origin story.
Right. Yeah, or the origin story of the horizon.
Metascapes.
Work. Yeah, before the Metascapes, this is obviously.
This was a camping trip in Baja. I had a number of times with friends who had some land there and just hung out in the
right
estuary.
It's a simple gesture that ends up opening up all the other work. So we have it on here to show a little bit for its own, obviously for its own value, but also a little bit for its introduction to the Metascapes.
Right.
You know, I think it's tough to, as we, well, we had an exhibition in the summer with an artist named Laura Goodfriend, who did amazing ethereal watercolors. And even at the scale she was working on, which is relatively small, it's very tough to get anything to happen that's very sublime and feels like it's a big amount of space. And I would say that on these little 4x6 paintings, you've done a great job of that because the scale is so small. It's really tough to get that sense of big landscape out of that.
Yeah.
And these, the simplicity of the gesture allows for that, I think.
Because I pulled out the pictures, little watercolor book. This is it. This is what I had to use.
And yeah, and I love that limitation for you. And obviously it opened up a lot of what was important for you moving on. Let's keep going here. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about your figurative works and how you pose those in relation to your abstractions? I mean, there seems like there's things that I can feel in relation to the marks that you make.
Right.
In
Well, marks. There's exactly the term. You know, making marks. I had a instructor years ago, Lee Himes, who making marks using all sorts of tools. I mean, yeah, a lot of, I consider all of what I do is gestural, you know, expressive gestural, be it the figurative work or, you know, obviously the space form energy ones. But I mean, yeah, so that's my sense. Line, I'm more oriented toward, you know, line and gesture, contours and the like. So again, you know, I started off doing life drawing with groups of people way back when, and you saw some of those early ones are on my website, which we're not showing tonight, and most of my figurative work is what I've done at Emeritus. I've taken classes at Emeritus. That's all this figurative work is from Emeritus classes.
And they definitely feel like when you said gestural,
Yes.
and when you talk about your relationship to dance and the movements in many cases are traces of big long marks that are relatively fearless and are proud to be what they are, and they have a very obviously these are all these black and white images. They have certainly in this format in the video they have this sort of Zen meditative quality, but they also individually have some stark contrast and some potency of gesture that's, you know, like I say, fearless and sort of very, you know, very confident, and it makes us feel pretty good about viewing them in my estimation. They're, and I think that they own their compositions pretty well, and they seem to limit the information in interesting ways. And yeah, that's, it's a very beautiful, very elegant rendering.
And the same way, I mean, we say limit the information, which is for me the nature of abstraction. I always, even all my paintings, I mean, I'm not striving for quote unquote realism or even proportion or an accuracy. They're inherent, they're intentionally exaggerated, and like I say, fearless. I mean, I'm not striving for anything other than making a mark at the moment.
Right, but the mark doesn't feel apprehensive, and I think that's what really drives these. They feel like they are confident with what they are going to be.
So what? Okay, time. Can you stop it for a second? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
What you just said. This is like 8 minutes.
Yes, this is the 8 minutes.
So let me just preface this, if I may.
Please.
So talking about gestures, like I mentioned, I've gone dancing, expressive dancing for years and years and years. And so when one goes dancing, sometimes one gets tired. And what does one do? Oh, me, I go to the side, sit on the ground, take out my paper and pen or pencils, and do extraordinarily quick gesture drawings of dancers. That's what this is.
Get a glass of water. I'm impressed by you.
That's what this is. You're gonna see. And the fun part is I have so many of them, and I did bunch them into different different bunches based on the implement, be it a pen or a crayon or a colored pencils. And then I did clean them up a little bit digitally, and then put them together and found music to go along with each piece of it. So I think you will enjoy this dance.
It ends up being very much like an animation of these forms.
It's kind of an anime, exactly. It's the closest thing I've come to figure out animation. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. And it wraps up all the things you're describing about gesture and
Exactly.
digitization, video and drawing and dance all together. It's great stuff.
These gestures, I do each one. It's literally 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and that's how fast this is.
And they couldn't have been done any other way, because
Right.
the only way to have that kind of a natural of a mark is you can't labor over it. It has to be done, like we say, confidently, quickly, without apprehension. Great stuff. Let's have a look.
There's the preface. Okay.
Good. Perfect. That's fantastic. There's two things that strike me when I watch that. The first thing is what you described, which is the compartmentalization, the categorization you're able to achieve in it through the music and the groupings
Right.
of types. And the second thing I thought is, this man has been dancing so many times. I love this. I mean, there's just so much experience in that. If you really think about the trace of that being really an experience of your dancing, lifestyle, and this being a capturing of that experience, I love it. There's just so many moments that you captured there, endless amounts of energy and people's expression and awesome moments. I bet. Amazing stuff.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate hearing that, because yes, that's part of, it's been, it's kind of a dancing meditation. It was part of a movement meditation. So for years and years and years, I've done it. Not so much recently. I think I started spinning around too much.
Well, I have to say that you see a lot of great gestural studies from life drawing, whereas the model in front of us, but they don't really point back to the context of themselves, because it's the art classroom, it's an academic study.
Right.
It's there for that reason. This points to the dancing and the experience, and we get to really think of all that part of it. It's very exciting to me.
Yeah, thank you.
I love the captures, and then they're great, beautiful gestures, by the way. They're
I
really
appreciate
continuing on with some more figuration, but into some painting stuff that's more sort of complicated layers of painting, and stepped paintings, maybe not 2 seconds, that kind of thing.
No, these are still pretty quick. I mean, these are your 20-minute, 40-minute poses. I still paint. I paint pretty quick. So yeah.
Yeah, expressive still, certainly, but just a little bit more, a little differently handled. These is 4-minute video. uh, exciting to see you bring the color palette, alive, because the expression is still there from the graphic first figurative images we saw that were like black and white. All that expressive energy is still there, but using these almost like primary palettes that are so essential, these yellow, blues, and reds, and really taking those to places to make all your neutrals out of. And I love the sort of blue line work in a lot of places. Great stuff there. Exciting.
Thank you.
And seeing you being able to work with energies that are related between abstraction and expressive sort of figuration. Great stuff there. Now, this is one more that is, I think maybe the last, or maybe we have one more in the body.
Yeah, these are fine. Yeah, these are photographs. Like talking this,
Right.
This one I digitized. The original photographs are undigitized, but I digitized. This is called aligned. I was intrigued by lines in the street.
Right. So you took these photographs as photographic artworks, and then
Yes.
you turned that into a video work where they're all collected, and then you digitize the
This I
effect.
digitized. Yeah, this show. Yeah.
And then the music sort of lines up with that really nicely.
I
Okay.
have to choose.
Yeah. Sorry about that. There we
Okay.
I just had a vision of people in the room who didn't understand our preface to this video, who are trying to correct their computer screens at this point.
This was, I think, it's annotated. The thing is because they have your choices of digital features. I think it's annotated, I believe, is
I
what
didn't
this
know
is.
that one.
Huh?
That to get it to that 16-bit.
It's like a pixelated,
Yeah, pixelated, of course. And does everybody see what we're saying by that? Like, you see how he's digitized this to make this effect? It goes so well with that music, which also sounds like it's from a video game or something.
Yeah, and again,
That's your music.
I kid you, all choices from a menu of options on the
No, perfectly.
computer
Yeah.
program, very simple program. And I'll say, and one thing is also, this note, this kind of was always curious to me. There was an option on these videos it says sync with music. So the system, the computer, can sync sometimes the imagery with the sound, with the music. I don't know how it does it, but
Oh, it has some algorithm to think
that's
about.
an algorithm which seems to work out well for the transition between images.
I like it.
In my hands, it's just push the button.
I'm with you. I
But
like
choices,
that.
Matt, interesting choices.
Yeah, and you let the computer make certain choices. You may let chance make some, and you make some.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
All right. Very
This
interesting.
next one's, I think, the photographs of
Uh,
in plain view. Again, this image is walking around the street with probably at this point, my cell phone, before I used a Canon camera. But yeah, this images, and then some of these are digitized or, enhanced a little bit.
Okay, this is these are so. But again, this is the last of your that we're going to
Right,
show
that last of the portfolio.
of the portfolio works, the works that are video, digitized videos,
Right.
and et cetera, that are
Right.
are documenting other things you've done. photography. Really some awesome architectural photographs.
Yeah.
Really exciting stuff in that.
Cool.
Great contrast, beautiful stuff.
Appreciate it. Okay, now for the ambient.
Yeah, for some of these other ones that are you call them more like art videos. They're not just documentation. These are
Right.
also-
These are, again, like I go out, I take images, then I massage them somewhat in editing. So the ambient part is also in some of these, not these two spots, but there's sound. We may hear one where the word people are actually speaking, but these two are more, I think one's silent, but the other one has some sound to it. But go ahead.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go with this first one here is Warped Horizon. No sound on this one.
By a minute, yeah.
Yeah, they're short in many cases.
And it's real, you can, it's subtle if you look at the middle part where you see the movement of people.
Great stuff there.
Thank you.
It reminds me of one of your Metascapes, but like breathing, you know, a little bit or something.
I guess I have my, what catches my eye.
Sure, there are things that cross over in your oeuvre quite a bit here, but I think that the you know, the meditative quality, the sort of rhythms, yeah, they do remind me of breathing and meditation and all the things that come with calming your rhythms and sort of engaging with things in a deeper way. Very cool video there. Let's look at the next one here, which is
This is fun.
this is do you want to give away the information of where you captured this, or should
Just look at it and I'll tell you.
Great.
There's some sound. Yeah. Okay. So I guess we didn't hear the sound. There was some rumbling sound. Obviously, this whole thing was sped up a bit, but there was some sound which kind of.
I had the sound on.
Huh? Well, I didn't hear it, but no, whatever.
Oh, I hope everyone else could hear it. Could everyone else hear the sound on that? Anybody? You can tell me. I had the sound on. I was hearing it fine. The sound does do something interesting in that video.
Yeah, it's a jumping, but it's the sound of the movement of the tram.
That wasn't there.
So yeah, that's about it. So that's fine. I just didn't maybe hear, but so where was that? Where was that? Did anybody recognize that?
See what somebody says here. No, so let's go ahead and put it. Let's stop the share and start again and make sure we get the sound up there.
Oh, it's the sound's just background sound. Okay.
Yeah, the sound basically is
Movement. It gives you the feeling of movement. Yeah.
But it also does this thing, Michael, that I wanted to ask you about, where it rhythmically breaks out of sound.
Yes. It's
right.
because the point is the sound is in real time, but I sped up the video to make it. There you go.
So you couldn't hear it last time, but you can hear it now, right?
I can.
So I don't want
I'm not-
to watch the whole thing again, but
I'm not
just-
here. That's fine. I like to move on. I mean, that's just to give you the sense of it, but for this one's not that important. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry that we missed it the first
That's
time, but
okay. People can watch it on their own, maybe, so that's fine.
please do. And the rhythm breaks of it, of like when the sound cuts out for a second, are in this interval
Right.
that I find very related to what you do.
Right.
Now this is captured where, you want to tell us? I know. of
It's
course.
the Getty Center. Took the tram up to the Getty Center.
And
I stood in, strategically, I went to the front car, took my cameras, pushed it against the window and went for the ride.
there you go. And you're speeding it up and digitizing.
I sped it up to this
For effect.
then I digitized the effect to give it the abstract quality that you see.
Now that is the end of the material we have
Right.
on the Facebook page. That sort of completes the show in a certain way. But I want to make sure that everybody knows this, and we're going to look at a couple more videos here before we end the day today, short ones. Michael has this fantastic artist website. It's indicated on our Facebook page, but you can go to it if you want, metascapeart.com. It has lots of information, including ways to purchase his prints,
Books.
other things, contacts, books, etc. Great stuff. One thing that I really like that he has this link to his YouTube page. His YouTube page contains all types of videos. I've put a direct link to this page here, just like this,
Yeah.
on our Facebook page as well. And it has all types of, it has all the videos we've seen today, plus others, many more. Let's watch a few more that we can try.
On the
catch
path
this.
is cool, yeah. And the
love
sound
it.
is essential for this, to hear it. Yeah.
Agreed. Tell me it's on. You hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've taken some nice pictures there. Well, there are clients open, and the two people who have working for they're working, and said, "How can I make a school for close?" It's like, you need to basically let Jeremy know about these things and be more involved. And like, he's the partner. Like, they didn't communicate anything over there, and then it's bounced at me to step up, and I'm like, oh, fuck you. What's his problem? I don't know. And then well,
Exactly.
That's really fun.
This one, I mean, I can't begin to tell you. I mean, again, what's interesting to me, I was standing right there. I was behind the rock. My camera was just on a little tripod facing there. And I just stood there for that. That was all real time. Those two groups came in that all real time. Again, I think an ironic synchronicity for me is, I think I've mentioned to you, my career profession has been in workplace training and organization development. People communicating with each other and conflict resolution and leadership and all that. I mean, there they were.
I mean,
I can't tell you the synchronicity in my own mind. So,
I mean, it's so funny too, because it reminds me of like animals that walk into a camera trap, when they get captured. But humans don't realize that they're always on camera. We're always on camera in society. But when you're out in the wilderness, all of a sudden you're not. But they just resort to their pettiness like instantly, even though they're in this beautiful grand.
exactly.
Sure. So funny. Great stuff. Let's look at Feeding the Behemoth.
Okay. Likewise sound, yeah. There you go. Outside, 10 years ago, outside the apartment I lived in, there it goes. Trash can pickup. So,
Of course, and it doesn't, it doesn't need to be about much or something on that one, I don't think. But I do think that we could bring ourselves to a conversation about waste and human,
right, exactly. That's why I figured afterwards that some of these have very, social commentary, or they had various thematic senses after the fact. I don't know if you want to show We Are One to end. I mean, I know.
I think We Are One's a really good one. So
yeah, it's really good. I think that'll be a nice.
That one.
Yeah.
And before we do, though, I just want to make sure that people go back and look at Window Seat and Moving Sunset also.
Right.
And let me just give you a hint at it. Window Seat is what you might imagine. It is a documentation of being on an airplane, but it's a really good one, and it's very fun to watch.
Yeah.
We can show us the whole thing today.
Same thing. Took my camera, stuck it on the window, and held it throughout for parts of my trip. Moving Sunset is probably the first thing I did. This is 11 minutes, single shot. No, I mean, I just left the camera there, and this is 11 minutes of the sunset. The moving part, you'll see the people, you'll see boats, the planes, things that are happening around the horizon again. I guess we're back to this horizon concept, but this was I just let the camera run and didn't edit it. That was it.
I talked about a meditation, and it would have been also another perfect way to end, but it's
Right.
a little bit longer.
Long.
I absolutely recommend this. We had this conversation today about with one of my students in sculpture class about ASMR videos, and these videos are designed to calm and soothe and
Right.
satisfy and these various ways. This is the perfect type of relationship to that.
Exactly.
And of course, us, we being Santa Monica people, this is a relationship to our home environment. A lot to really like here in watching this video. I highly recommend you go
Right.
watch
The
it.
subtlety of the movement, the people coming and going. It's quite fascinating just to observe. So,
And
who's that young guy there? Okay, let's just move on.
Well, this guy, oh boy, let's let you go ahead and go back and look at these interviews of Michael too. You said this from 1984, fantastic stuff from an exhibition that he had. Absolutely fun as can be. There's also other stuff about him in the studio, more contemporary stuff in the studio. Have a look at all this stuff. You can visit it through our Facebook page. But let's go ahead and close the show on We Are One, which I think is a really very special video. It reminds me a little bit of the in plain view, in that you're capturing information around you. This is in video form, not in still image form.
Right, and it was a situation. I edited it a bit from this one situation. Hey, and I'll call it Ron. Jan, look for your. I think you're in, Ron. I think I captured you in this. Check it out. My buddy Ron.
Let's see if Ron.
I don't think he saw it. Yeah, see if he can recognize himself. I didn't realize that at the time. Another synchronicity.
I travel on the ground with life just well. We sound beautiful like our toes. Choose the right now. Hope that you see your way home.
And so just to remind yourself, ambient means that was all real-time sound. This is not overdubbed. All those, the music, the sounds, and that was not me telling people to move faster. Someone was doing it for me.
Oh, boy.
I don't know who that was.
So
Yeah, just real speed back on.
I love it. I mean,
Yeah, so
thank you for telling us that, because the ambient noise, yes, of course. I think it is a capture of real space and real
Right.
energy. And perfectly edited. It's a little film. It's a little Santa Monica experience film. Did your friend Ron?
I don't know. I have to go slow it down. I swear it's him. I didn't think no, he'll tell me later, or I'll show it to him in slow motion. But I happened to watch it the other day. Whoa, who's that? And I wasn't aware of it at the time. So, just to say, these little things happen.
I highly recommend everyone go back and look at these more closely if you like. I think there's even more we could have looked at. There's 3 or 4 other videos I would have been thrilled to share. We didn't get a chance to tonight, but go back and look. Michael, what a fantastic multimedia experience you gave us.
Cool.
If there's anybody that wants to ask any questions, we're at the end of our night officially, but we'll definitely keep it open for a minute more if you have anything to say. There were some great comments made in support of you, Michael, in the chat section.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm getting a lot of wonderful congratulations, great stuff.
For sure.
Like that. And yeah, I mean, prolific, incredible stuff. Thanks for capturing it in such interesting ways.
Cool.
Awesome, man.
Thanks for appreciating it and putting up. It's made my, it's very satisfying to see all this and be appreciated for it. This emeritus stage of life.
Well,
We got to keep reminding ourselves.
I'm not sure I know the question. I'm not sure I understand the question.
Which question?
Well, I'll send it to you at some point here. We'll send you. I'm not sure I pronounced it correctly. Yeah, it's in the chat about you being prolific. I'm not sure I understand that question.
I have no idea. I don't know who Rex is. Sorry.
Clarify that. Rex.
No, I have no idea. Okay, let it go.
All right, but great stuff, Michael. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Any last thoughts for us on our way out?
No, I appreciate it, and come to the gallery, and friends of mine or others who want to, I'll be happy to meet people. We can just hang out. I mean, I'm going to go there because it's wonderful for me to at least see my work, and I invite everyone else to come enjoy it too during the week when it's open.
2 blocks from the beach. It's the right experience for the work. It's right there in Santa Monica, so perfect. All right, Michael, way to go, man. Thank you so much for incredible stuff. Fantastic to relaunch our gallery with you, our live gallery, and great stuff seeing the videos and everything too.
Okay.
Thank
you very much, Jesse. Scott. Thanks, everybody.
Everybody.